today. More Biden remorse hits as people wonder where are the $2,000 checks. Also, mainstream media calls for Fox News's reach to be reduced. We saw it coming. We've got a lot coming up on this Monday, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Happy Monday. Is it really happy? I don't know. We're going to pretend it is. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Elijah Schaefer, host of Slightly Offensive here on BlazeTV. He's still with us. Still with you, and I'm very happy too. This is Happy Monday. Is it? Yeah, I'm stoked. Are you stoked? I figure fake it till we make it. We've got Sydney Watson here, who also is a YouTube host. So everyone go check her out, Sydney Watson, while you can. We don't know when we're all going to be gone, just purged. Is it a happy Monday for you, Sydney?
You know what? I've had better Mondays. Yeah. No, I think everyone knows by now. I was robbed yesterday, so I'm feeling a little bit mad about that.
Yeah, people went inside her car and took essential parts.
That's a sad Sunday, and now we're on Happy Monday.
Yeah. It's the next day, Sydney. You gotta get over it.
I know. You know what? You're right. Yeah, I have to. I'm such a glasses half empty kind of person. I just want to see glass today. It's just going to be glass. Okay. I'm not happy or sad.
Okay. We'll take that. All right. So the hashtag Biden lied trends on Twitter as critics are demanding the $2,000 stimulus checks that he, of course, promised during the campaign. He tweeted out during the Georgia election. He really pushed for this. I know. He said $600 is simply not enough when you have to choose between paying rent or putting food on the table. We need $2,000 stimulus checks. And of course, then they kind of change that just a little bit. And then they said, POTUS will build on the $600 down payment provided by Congress last year, sending an additional $1,400 to households across America, totaling direct payments to $2,000 per person. So if you thought that he meant $2,000 stimulus checks because he actually said $2,000 stimulus checks, that's your bad. All right. That's just your mistake. OK, here are a couple tweets that were trending. By the time the stimulus package arrives, it'll be more like $600 instead of the $2,000 we were promised. But don't worry, Jill Biden is going to hand out cookies later. And then we've got one more. And the whole government lied. Biden lied and the whole government lied. Don't say you're giving us Don't say you're giving us $2,000 checks when you're really giving us $1,400 checks. That's just cold, bruh. These are several of many. There were a lot of people who, you look, they're very leftist. Okay, they're very left-leaning people. They're very upset because, as we said earlier, the John Ossoff campaign, the Reverend Warnock campaign, these were essential gets for the Democrats. And so Joe Biden pushed the $2,000 checks. He said, if you guys elect these people, we will get you the $2,000 checks. But if you misunderstood that to actually mean $2,000 checks, that's your bad.
Right, that's your fault for misunderstanding that the Democrats would tell you the truth. That's the problem, is that these people deserve this. I actually am happy about this. Not that we're getting $1,400, but that the radical left is finally realizing that the Democrats are establishment liars, that Biden is a crooked politician, that he was lying from the beginning, and the hashtag Biden lied should have actually been the campaign slogan, because he's been lying ever since he was in that jacuzzi with the kids, and then they were rubbing his legs down, the hair on his legs. Yeah. And, somewhere in the midst of that, between then and now, we now have this regime that has been given to us as a gift, right? This Biden regime. And people are finally realizing, oh crap, we literally got screwed. And where I just sit here going, well, I'm just sip my tea and just say, told you so.
Right, Sydney.
Well, it's a bit like that though. I don't really know what else to say on this because I think that what's already been said is basically summarizes my feelings on it too. You voted in a politician who's been in office for almost 50 years, he's been vice president, probably got very little done at the time. And so what do you really expect from people who get into office and then do nothing for decades and decades. I don't know what else to say about this. It's very much on the table.
I mean, it is
predictable.
You voted for him and you get what you pay for, basically.
It is predictable.
I'm so sad
Well,
about this.
and it's not just the people with, angry about the stimulus checks, which, Sydney, I'm sure, now you need the check to pay for your car parts.
Yeah.
So
Actually, what's funny is, and I don't want to keep going on about this, but what made me go, oh damn, was when I went to the mechanic yesterday to obviously get my car fixed, because it's missing some serious components. The mechanic actually said to me, this does happen in times of economic downturn, and I thought that's actually so poignant because obviously all this COVID stuff has put a lot of people out of work. A lot of people are suffering in ways that, thankfully I'm in a position where I have savings and I can actually, fork out the $2,000 that will probably be needed to fix it, maybe more. I'm thankful that I'm in that position. Lots of people aren't.
Yeah.
And so you're stealing my car parts so that you can sell that, so that you can get money. And let's be real, they're probably not mum and dads that are doing this. It's probably junkies, but I want to pretend that it's someone who needs to feed their family. I'm just going to pretend that it's not a meth head.
Well, I mean, when we're talking about the people who are surprised that Joe Biden lied, it reminds me of the oil and gas workers.
Is that a phrase? Surprised that Joe Biden lied?
Yeah.
Is that anybody for real?
I mean, yes.
See, a lot of people on Twitter saying that.
Yeah, because you think, okay, but I think the average American is not as connected as we are, right?
Yeah.
They don't live and breathe this stuff.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they still think CNN is like a good place to follow. And they think that they're going to get all of their highlights there of what they need to know. Because I'm thinking, back to the oil and gas workers of last week or the week before that, I can't remember, who were
It's been a rough like 10 days.
It really has. I came back from maternity leave and I was like, I picked the wrong time to come back. This is horrible. But they're so surprised that their jobs are going away. And it's like, he literally told you guys he was going to eliminate your positions. He wanted to phase you out. He literally said this in the debates. And the last one, and we thought to ourselves, or at least I did, I heard him say this and I thought, holy crap, I think that's the election, right? Like President Trump was like, I'm sorry, could you say that one more, could you speak into the mic, please? Could you say that louder? Because we couldn't believe that he was saying it. And now you have people who are shocked that he's following through on what he said he was going to do.
Well,
it's amazing.
They didn't hear about any of this, though, from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
I mean, the mainstream media has basically been giving this guy like a glowing recommendation, so to speak, for however long. And they're not going to be answering to any of the things that he's actually done because they're basically in the pocket of the establishment. And, at the end of the day is, basically you have the people that are on CNN, that to me is what makes up the mainstream media. So people like you and me, like you said, we live and breathe this stuff. Right. This is everything, and this is what we do. It's our jobs. But the average person is getting their news from people that are probably less intelligent than Biden himself. So there you go.
But
idiots.
The thing
idiots
is,
supporting idiots.
But the thing that kind of makes me upset here is that the government is still saying, okay, look, the problem that we caused, right? The problem that these shutdowns, the reason why people are asking for money in the first place is because we ruined the country. Yeah. Okay, specifically, majority Democrat leaders in Democrat cities, Democrat states are hit the hardest, right? I mean, in Texas, people are hit hard here, and I'm not going to, speak bad about that. A lot of people don't go out right now, or they aren't going to restaurants in general because they want to stay home. They believe that's the best choice, and that's
but Governor Abbott, give us the choice and take away the stupid mask mandate.
Yes, but my point is when you get to this, so it's just like, this shows you how much the government is not the answer to anything because they can't even have a consistent solution to the problem that they caused. And so it's like when you come out and you say something as simple as $2,000 and you can't even keep your word there, it's like, how do the people keep trusting the government? And this is what I want to tell the people watching. This is our moment, and this is a perfect story to go to people and say, now do you get why I don't like the government? Now do you get why I hate these people? I hate them. I really do. Because they're so manipulative and so intentionally twisted that it's hard for people, the average person who's busy, to sometimes, like you said, to see this or to know what's going on. But this is our time. Let's rise up and let's shake our friends and say, this guy's a bumbling fool, if we can even say that about him. I'm not sure we can criticize him a few months from now. And he is robbing the American people of the promise that he gave them. Don't support this regime any longer. And if this doesn't change their mind, well, they might be a little bit too far gone. But I think this is a time to actually make some change in the country, and you're going to see a lot of people start to wake up.
Okay, so Sydney, do you think that people will
we
wake up?
Should be shaking people?
Yeah,
not physically, not telling, don't go to your sister and beat her up.
Do you think that if, as Elijah's point, as he's saying, do you think that if you tell people, hey, you see this thing that you're mad about right now, this is what we've been talking about this whole time, will they get it? Will it click?
I don't know. I think that a lot of people are kind of far gone in the sense that they can't see the correlation of the relationships between cause and effect. And
the empty glass is coming out here right now. It's like,
I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I'm a realist about it. I want to be positive, but people every day remind me how stupid people are. And so on that front, I just go, I don't even know how to fix the dum-dums, because it's not the people like you and me that are tuned into this. It's not the people watching this that are the ones that you have to convince. It's the people out in everyday life who are just like, they're ambivalent and they don't care. And so when these things happen to them, they stomp their feet for a minute and then they go, oh, and then they forget about it. And then they can't see the relationship between cause and effect. So of course, no, I mean, I agree on to some extent with Elijah, because, I do think there are people out there who are going to go, oh my God, this is really happening. And I sort of played a part in this. I voted for this person. Now, basically, the chickens are coming home to roost. But then there will be a huge portion of them who just will not get it. And there's something you can do about that.
I tend to think that people will not get it until, we all have egos, right? Until they feel it personally.
Oh yeah.
It's like you can listen to someone all day, but until you really, really feel the pain personally, and you've been like the oil and gas workers who are now out of jobs aren't going to be able to feed their families, maybe you might have a shot at them. But the people who are just complaining on Twitter and don't have a personal story to really drive home, I don't know that
they don't really vote.
I think they are too far gone.
No, but they don't even really vote, and I think that's the key thing. Is that
the activists?
Elijah. Elijah.
What?
My uncle that's been dead for 30 years voted.
Okay, that's true.
So please,
I forgot.
Everyone votes.
Even if only one person voted in the family, maybe they picked up everyone else's forced mail-in votes and dropped them off.
Please,
and did the work for them. No, but I was gonna say, a lot of these people don't vote that are too far gone, meaning they have political opinions and ideas. But I think that if you look at a certain slew of people, I think they're sitting here going, I would never vote for this guy again. And I feel like that's what the Democrat Party knows, is that I can't challenge whether he got elected the first time. I would never do anything like that.
That's a case closed.
That's a case closed. Fact checkers, you're not going to get me this time. But I will say this: it's like they know that that's probably not going to realistically happen again, and so I don't think they even care, because I don't think this has ever been about Biden. I think this is about using these 4 years to push as many extreme measures as possible. This isn't about caring if people vote for him again. He might die in these 4 years, and we might have a Kamala Harris presidency. I mean, the guy is clearly in decline.
Might have a Kamala Harris presidency.
Right, because I don't even think it's going to, I don't think it would be death.
Is this me being negative again? I don't know. Is this because I'm pretty sure she's going to be president? Like, I'm just.
And not necessarily, Joe Biden wouldn't have to die.
He just has to step down because he's going to be painting the walls with poop later. Like, that's where we're heading.
Right.
I don't want to throw shade at people with Alzheimer's, but.
He strokes over from his 7,000th executive action, just too much writing. But I'm just saying, I think that's what we're seeing here, is that with all these executive orders and all of this pushing of far left agendas, the Green New Deal, killing jobs, being an absolute madman while the country's hurting economically from government shutdowns, talking about racial equity and only helping black businesses and female-owned businesses, ignoring the fact that, over half the country is white and they also are hit economically and need help too. I don't think anything about this is to intentionally do what's right or good for the country, and they don't care if he doesn't get reelected, because I don't think that's their plan.
Yeah, well, I think that's just your white privilege talking. All right.
Okay, Latina girl.
All right, we've got more to come, including Brian Stelter, the estrogen-filled Brian Stelter, explaining why Fox News needs limited reach. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Keeps. If you are out there and you are looking in the mirror and you're like, oh, my hair is kind of like losing its fullness. And I get it. It's no fun. You're not going to go to the doctor. All right, let me just be sexist for a second. Men don't go to the doctor for anything. You could be on your deathbed and you're not going to go to the doctor. So let me give you a solution that you can try. You can try Keeps from the comfort of your own home. Okay. Keeps is going to give you the same doctor-recommended, FDA-approved hair loss treatments, but they're generic, so they're going to save you a ton of money while they're doing it. And by the way, it's all online. You don't have to go to the doctor's office. You don't even have to get in your car if your car still works, unless you've gotten your parts stolen like Sydney. You don't even have to get in your car. You can do it all online. You take a couple pictures of your hair, answer a couple questions, and a licensed doctor will review everything and send your hair loss treatment directly to your door. It is that easy. Right now, we've got a special deal to get you started. All you have to do is go to keeps.com. That is KEEPS.com/Y. That's WHY. 50% off your first order. That is 50. That's right. Keeps.com/Y. Keeps.com/Y. Back in a minute. CNN's Brian Stelter has said that Fox News influence must be reduced. All right, but don't worry. He's not calling for their freedom of speech to be infringed, okay? Because what he's saying is very different. Here is the ever effeminate Brian Stelter to explain what he means. Watch.
It's as predictable as the sunrise. Democrats win elections, and then Republicans say they are being silenced. But while some cry cancel culture, let me suggest a different way to think about this. A harm reduction model. Most people want clean air and blue skies and accurate news and rational views. And then in that healthy environment that looks beautiful, then we can have great fights about taxes and regulation and healthcare and all the rest. The vast majority of people can agree that disinformation about, let's say, the pandemic is unhealthy. It's harmful. So how can that harm be reduced? Well, big tech platforms say they are removing lies about vaccines and stamping out Stop the Steal BS and QAnon cult content. Now, do these private companies have too much power? Sure. And many people would say yes, of course they do. But reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is different than freedom of reach. And algorithmic reach is part of the problem.
Oh, that was a good rhyme, you bald little girl. That was really good. Wow.
I like to rhyme all the time. That was like, wow.
Yeah. Talking about the environment, the grass. That's beautiful. That's beautiful grass, by the way.
Is the person who writes his script like 14 or something? That was a very childish.
No, actually, it's just Brian Stelter.
Does he write his? I hope he doesn't write his own scripts, because it's always funny, because I feel like we are living in a straight up communist world where, they're always saying like, it's not a gulag, it's a holding center to reimagine what life could be, to teach you what you should think like. Like, they always say, like, it's not a re-education camp. This is an encouragement to comply with the standards of our country.
Well, it's like Cuba's literacy programs just taught kids to read. That's all it did.
See, and that's my point. It's like, think of it like this. Some people call it censorship, but what if we just don't call it that, but then censor people? And you're like, sir, do you realize what you're saying at a much higher pitched voice than any other host on your network, but you're still saying it? I don't know.
Is that the joke? Is his voice is high? I've never listened to him talk.
Also, he's just a girl.
He's a sissy. He's a sissy girl.
He's just a wuss.
I don't know if you can say that these days. I mean, you're heading for like a fat knock off the internet if you're going to go.
We'll just say this: he's not a man.
Thank you.
Because we don't know if he's one of the other genders.
I don't know what he is today. Who am I to say what he is?
Is anyone over at CNN an actual man, though? Generally when I watch it, I'm just sitting there going, oh God, this is beautiful.
Are you attracted to Brian Stelter? Is this a secret that you're defending him?
I want to touch his head. I want to rub it, and that's where I want to be at in life.
Well, this is derailed, because now I want to vomit.
It's more fun to talk about Brian Stelter than to talk about what he's actually saying, because what he's saying is so nonsensical.
But so many on the left are calling for the same thing.
Right, but he does it like in a tone of voice and with such mannerisms that it makes it comical, because it's like you sit there and you're going, this is a stand-up comedy special, right? That's more entertaining than most Netflix comedy specials, which no one laughs at anymore, they just clap for. But Brian, that's what he wants. He wants people to clap for him. He's going, I'm going to lead the revolution to say this. We know these things to be wrong. We're not supposed to live in a society where we're shutting down voices we disagree with. But what if we just change the way that we talk about these things? Then we can confuse the public and we can justify ourselves into doing them. It's like, hey, baby, imagine if you did this. You go to your spouse, you go to your spouse and you're like, look, I know we're not supposed to cheat on each other, but what if we just practice new forms of loving expression on people who are our friends to then use on each other? And you go, that's cheating. And it's like, or is it? And it's like, it doesn't work in any other situation, but it's like,
that's actually a great analogy.
Let's do something that's actually going to hurt the relationship of people in this country. It's going to destroy us. Right. But let's call good evil and evil good. And that's what the warnings are about the last days. I think we're living in a very biblical time, very predictable time. Even if you don't believe in the Bible, it does say that in the end times, in the last days, that people will, like, this is what, they're going to be lovers of themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to be hateful, spiteful. And you look at this is actual, Brian Stelter is evil in the shape of a human egg. Looks like a little ball.
He does. Okay, one more thing about what he said that kind of struck me was that he said, Democrats win an election and conservatives cry cancel culture. And it's like, no one's crying cancel culture because Democrats won an election. People are concerned about cancel culture because it's a real thing. And also conservatives are like verifiably being purged from social media platforms. Like he's conflating two different things. Or is it? It's like everything is a Jedi mind trick. Yeah. Or is it? I mean, so they're conflating these things, and now, again, the average person that we talk about who get their highlights of news from CNN, that's what they think is happening.
I think it's the fact that I know everyone loves to bring up 1984, and I read it recently in the last couple months. I was like, I am reading this damn book that everyone keeps talking about, and I know that everyone loves to point to it, so I'm going to be one of those cliche people, but this is what they do, where they change the terminology and make it sound a lot better. And I mean, it's so funny that, he even had the audacity to say that basically it's almost in a way like all in the heads of conservatives and Trump supporters and things. Yeah. And that, this is not actually
you guys
happening.
Are just being whiny.
Exactly. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that the...
It's just in your head.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the people who are being purged off of social media, who are being banned, deplatformed, and depersoned would probably disagree with you there, friend.
Right.
Like, I don't know what planet these people live on.
Yeah.
This is a Ministry of Love type situation stuff, and it's making me very uncomfortable.
Also, he cites anti-vaccine people are being shut down as if that's like totally cool. Like, let's just shut down people who don't believe in...
Yeah, also the best, this is what I don't understand too, because actually what makes people, let's say, against something is usually hearing it. Like, how did I find out that I am not, a white supremacist? Well, I don't really know much about it. I'm a kid growing up, and then I'm hearing, there's this idea, and these people are focusing on the Jews and anti-Semitism, and I'm hearing what they believe, and I'm going, oh yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't want to hear that. But now, let's just say I'm a 12-year-old, young guy, and all of a sudden you want to be rebellious, and there's all these people, anti-vaxxers, white supremacists, all these people that can't have a voice or can't say anything. And when you're young, you're going to get kind of curious. You're going to go, well, I actually want to go find those people more. And now as they've been pushed more and more to the fringes of the internet, they're going to have deeper and deeper echo chambers, get more and more radicalized, have a more convincing and radicalized base and way to recruit people into their ideas. You're actually creating extremists, and this is just like what the U.S. did with trying to win the war on terrorism, is that you end up actually creating something worse than the Mujahideen. Like you said with ISIS, you create a more extreme version, more radical. And so what he's doing is going, I'm going to save America, but you're actually setting us up for some of the most extreme ideas possible becoming even more extreme. It's like, and maybe that's the plan.
Yeah, that's what I would say, is I wonder if they think, well, if that's what happens, great, because then we get to about conservatives more and tell you we told you so.
I told you they were evil, and now they actually are.
Right, exactly. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So in case you have not heard the news, Patriot Mobile just expanded their nationwide coverage dramatically. It's going to make it a heck of a lot easier for you to go and dump your, Verizon or whoever you're using for your cell phone, because they're charging you way too much money and then they're donating it to left-leaning causes that you spend, just your entire existence fighting against. We are proud to partner with Patriot Mobile here at BlazeTV. They never send a penny to the left. They are not going to silence you. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Also, it's 2021, so you can switch very easily. They can use, you can keep your number, you can use the same phone, or you can buy a new one, whatever you want. But I know there are a lot of people who have had their cell phone for forever and they're like, I can't switch because what if there's a problem? It's 2021. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You can build your own bundle with multi-line discounts and save even more on their already very reasonable prices. All you have to do is go to patriotmobile.com/news. You will get premier activation right now and also a free gift, which I'm really excited. Someone write to me and tell me what your free gift is, because I want to know. I'm very curious. Use offer code NEWS for premier activation and a special gift. It is patriotmobile.com/news. That is patriotmobile.com/news. Back in a minute. All right, Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York is in hot water this week after a press conference at the end of last week where he was asked, who is this, Jennifer Kuecki, a reporter in New York, said, "Governor, your staff is often unapologetically aggressive when it comes to defending your policies, particularly on social media. In this case, many of the people who disagree with this nursing home policy have a very personal connection to it. So, what would your message be?" And it's interesting, Cuomo's answer. Here's a. Why don't you just watch it yourself? Here's the clip. Watch.
A third of all deaths in this nation are from nursing homes. New York State, we're only about 28% only, but we're below the national average in number of deaths in nursing homes. But who cares? 33, 28, died in a hospital, died in a nursing home. They died.
Wow. Cold-hearted words from Andrew Cuomo.
So wicked.
I know.
Oh my God.
Who cares? They died. They died. Who cares? By the way, his numbers that he's citing on nursing home deaths is, of course, the number that his own administration determined that they had. The AG, the Democrat AG over in New York, we talked about this on the show on Friday, has already said that it's like at least double what they reported, because shockingly enough, when the Cuomo administration investigates the Cuomo administration, sometimes things get lost in translation.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of being married a lot, and when it's like, my wife asks me, and she goes like, "Oh, did you clean the kitchen?" And I'm like, "Yeah, according to my own standards," but which is really not cleaning the kitchen. It's
right.
Just picking the stuff off the counter. Most men watching could probably relate.
Oh my God, you just move it somewhere else.
Yeah, and it's like standards, but standards matter in government. And that's what he said, is that bad governing standards are what led to the chaos of the pandemic. And it's like, buddy, you can't, this is the same thing with the Stelter thing. Mm-hmm. You just need to say, as a governor, I actually screwed up. Which is okay, because nobody knew what they were doing. To be fair, we like to give him crap for what his choice was, and it was a bad decision. But being a governor is not an easy job. And it's not like you are always going to make the right choice. And if he made a decision that affected people, he just needs to apologize and just say, "Hey, look, this was bad policy. I'm sorry, people did die, and we will learn from this. It's hard to govern New York. It's hard to govern New Yorkers in general. They're very stubborn people. Imagine old New Yorkers. But I mean, New Yorkers are crazy. And it's like, just admit this, but instead he's doing what any good communist socialist would do. He's fudging the numbers and covering this up to rewrite history. And the future generations, he'll go down as that guy who won the Emmy.
Now, Elijah is apparently an Andrew Cuomo apologist over here. But, Sydney, I will say there's been, at least 9 top New York health officials who have left their posts underneath Andrew Cuomo since March, when this happened, apparently because of the morale has dropped and he's ignored advice from the public health officials, which I think is where the socialism component comes in.
I'm not an apologist, Sarah.
I'm saying
he could.
I'm just hearing a Cuomo apologist.
I'm saying he could have just apologized and said, "I messed up," but he didn't.
Well, no. I'm just giving you crap because you said being governor is a hard job. But he did ignore the advice. Yes, it is. But he did ignore the advice of these people who he had surrounding him to give him advice on these matters. I mean, he's a scientist, right, by background-ish.
We're all scientists now.
Okay, well, fair. But
me especially.
I think, Sydney, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's probably pretty much common sense to know if you bring a bunch of COVID-infected patients back to nursing homes, it's probably pretty likely that they're going to then infect the other people.
Does 1 + 1 = 2? Is that what that is?
No, that's illegal to say in 2021. Can't say that anymore.
No, look, I think that these people have got their own self-interests at heart, and so oftentimes when they're acting, it's not because they're thinking of the best way to go about doing things or the I don't know, the well-being of their constituents or whomever. I think it's largely because they want to do whatever's going to line their pockets in the most effective way.
Yeah.
So when I look at what he has to say, of course he's going to be like, who cares? Like, that's not shocking to me. I don't know. You know what? You guys think I'm negative, and that's okay. But at least I'm never shocked by these people, because I go,
That's fair.
I fully expected this. I fully expected you to put dying people in with other dying people to kill more people than we previously could have possibly thought that might possibly die.
That's fair.
I expect this because these people, in my opinion, if you want to go into politics and actually be a politician, I think there's something maybe potentially wrong with you, because that's a role that really requires a certain kind of personality type, and I think sociopath might, well encapsulate that.
So Sydney says, keep your standards low when it comes to politicians.
Of
You'll
course.
never be
Well, 'cause
disappointed.
we
There's no
expect
such thing
them-
as high standards
You'll
with
never be
politicians.
disappointed.
It's what we were just talking
Yeah.
about earlier about Biden. We know they're going to lie to us. We know that they're going to act in their own self-interest. Maybe on like a state level, which I know this is state, maybe on a state level you might stand a better chance, because these are people, like especially, even on a local level, sheriffs and things like that. Maybe these are people that are a little bit more orientated towards the people. Maybe they are a little bit more personal about it. But certainly on a federal level,
Yeah.
I know this guy's not on a federal, but you get my point. You get my point.
Yes.
Let Mrs. Negative just be right. Okay. Cool.
So in other news, the CDC has issued an emergency order requiring all Americans to wear a mask while using public transportation. This includes airplanes, ships, ferries, trains, subways, buses, taxis, and ride shares. So this all-encompassing federal blanket mandate, for those of you listening on podcast, I'm using air quotes, mandate. They said that those wearing a mask will furthermore be required to wear their mask in such a way that it covers both the nose and mouth. So keeping it under the nose, not okay. And face shields and goggles are not permitted as substitutes for masks. And also, by the way, you can't wear a mask that's too small or too big. Like that king, wherever he was from, that was wearing a Crown Royal bag on his face, I saw online, and it made my whole day.
That's a mood.
It really is a mood.
That's such a mood.
So, Elijah, I saw you tweeting about this. Now, they say that they have the authority to issue criminal penalties.
Yep. They
you
said that
don't comply.
this doesn't make any sense. Let's talk about, this is Andrew Cuomo type of language here.
Yeah.
So it's a mandate, not a law, but there's criminal penalties even though it's not a law.
Right.
And then it begs the question of who enforces this law, right? Because the CDC doesn't have law enforcement capabilities
Mask
like that.
police coming soon.
Well, this is
Don't even joke.
No, they
Don't
have
even
this
joke.
they have this in Canada. They're starting to send task force people to make sure and check up in
Australia's
their
the
homes.
same. New Zealand's
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, this is coming to a city near you. This is to a point to where the language is even more confusing, because they go, well, your mask has to be 2 layers. Now, I know theoretically most masks that are of high quality are 2 layers,
right.
But now this takes away, you can't do homemade masks anymore. You can't do bandanas. You can't do neck gaiters.
Well, I think they said if you do a neck gaiter, it has to be folded so that it's double layer. Or
That's what I'm saying. You can't just wear them normally. You have to take 2 masks.
Yes.
So what this is implying that we need to wear 2 masks. Now, I'm just still mad at the people who wrote this law of why they stopped at 2. I think
No, it's not a law, remember. It's not a law.
Oh, sorry.
Just a mandate.
Amanda law. It's Amanda law. I wish that, why not stop here? I'm just saying 50 masks, 100 masks. We've got to keep going further.
If you're patriotic.
Yes, and create non-laws that have criminal penalties. This is a good direction for our society.
I thought asymptomatic spread, though, was so uncommon. Then I mean.
Be careful with your words, Sydney.
Listen.
I was reading a bunch of
I'm
these.
joking.
Oh, what are you reading? Scientific studies?
Yes.
Please, you
The
can't
CDC,
read those.
the World Health Organization, you can't say that kind of truth.
That's why I just don't get this, and I just go, but if we acknowledge that asymptomatic spread is effectively not a thing. I got asked this actually over the weekend. Sydney, are you a single masker or a double masker? I'm like, I'm a 0 masker.
Is that what people are asking? Is this like a pickup line?
No, it was.
So, you a single masker or a double
girl.
masker?
You know what I was actually reading before? I was on dating apps. People are now leading with, I'm vaccinated. Check that out.
No.
I am not kidding. I saw this earlier, and as a perpetually single human, I was like, when this comes into my life, I may actually cry.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
So yeah, it wouldn't shock me if people are like, hey girl, so I got 4 masks in the car. You want to come check them out? Let's go.
This is, God, I'm so glad I'm
Modern
married right
world
now
was a
'cause I
mistake.
can't.
It's time for the
What if
media.
you,
Yeah,
what
it
if
is.
you had a date? My heart's broken for America right now.
Your heart should exclusively be broken for me, the single friend you have.
I have a friend who just lost a relationship over differences in how to approach COVID. Like they literally, they were like literally
Get out.
it was because it was like to put it in her favor. The man was like being really weird, and he was like, they really liked each other, and he was being really weird about like COVID stuff, and she was just like, this is someone I know. It's like, I just can't have a man who's not living in reality. Like if he's young and he's healthy and he's like being afraid of this stuff, like I can't trust a man like that to lead me. And I witnessed a breakup over like COVID stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
Again, these girls on these dating apps are like, these guys will unmatch you because you're not vaccinated. Even it was Christ, I can't remember, don't quote me on this, but a girl had posted a screenshot of a guy being like, hey, you're great, really like you, think you're wonderful, but I found someone else who's actually also vaccinated, and we're just gonna try to keep our bubble like, close so that we don't like infect other people. So I'm gonna go and date that person instead.
I don't want to.
Wow. I don't either. I'm so glad I'm married. All right, we gotta take a break. We'll be back.
You ruined my life right now. I'm like, well, at least I can never get a divorce now. Like, no one's gonna ever want a divorce anymore.
Oh yeah.
They're like, are you
going back
vaccinated?
out there.
Where's your spot?
All right, Chicago Democratic Mayor Lori Lightfoot. She is in a kind of a battle with the union, the teachers union over there, because they don't want to come back to school. And if you can imagine Lori Lightfoot actually arguing and saying, you better frickin' come back to school, teachers. This, in a democratic place like Chicago, this is actually what's happening. Here is Lori Lightfoot.
Let me say again, we expect all of our teachers
I love her.
who have not received a specific accommodation to come to school tomorrow. All of the CTU members. And those who do not report to work, and I hate to even go there, but we're going to have to take action. Let's avoid that. Let's avoid it in the first instance by getting a deal done.
I love this so much. I love this so much. Fire every single one of these stupid teachers who want to put themselves and this stupid, like, oh, I'm so scared of COVID. No, you're not. You're just lazy and you don't want to go to school. Okay, you just don't want to teach. You don't want to do your job. We're all clear on that. And fire every single one of them. Please tell us how you feel so that we know and we can fire your sorry asses. But I want to get your thoughts on this. Let me just throw in, just since, Sydney's kind of in a mood. So let's put her in more of a mood with Joy Behar.
Pissed off, why not?
Joy Behar from The View. Joy Behar says, sending kids back to school this year is so fraught with anxiety and uncertainty. Why not just have everyone repeat the year? Is that such a far out idea? So just have your kids just have your kids say, we're done this year. Let's just repeat the year. Just repeat a year of your kid's life because it's so fraught with anxiety. And the teachers, you can't expect the teachers to listen to like statistics. That's too hard for teachers.
I don't know what world these people live on. I really don't. You show this stuff and like I know that you want to take it seriously, but I just go like, I don't know. Elijah, help me here.
This is why we don't trust redheads.
What world is this?
No, that's not it. But I was to say,
the soulless thing comes into play. I mean, I'm going to say, if you're a redhead,
or in this case, a liberal, which is the real redheads we don't talk about, the people without souls that are out there playing. And I have to say this. This idea of how these adults are looking out for themselves and not kids is the exact decline of a nation, to be serious about this. Like the fact that teachers don't understand what their positions are about, that this is about educating and growing children, and this is not about you. And people go, well, how are you supposed to help kids when your health is on the line? Well, is it?
It's not.
Is it? That's the question. Is your health on the line? And also, there is nobody in this country that probably has better immune systems than teachers. To all the teachers that are out there, we all know those first couple years are wrought with severe decline. Now, that's not to say, look, there's an easy way to do this. If you're over 65 and you have these pre-existing conditions,
or even if you're younger and you're vulnerable for
but I'm saying that maybe give them an early retirement. There you go, because I'm pretty sure by 65 and a teacher, you probably can already retire. Maybe you should go into retirement and let the young person who's healthy take the job. Then to the people who are obese, also take the year to lose weight. That's a really good thing. Just do it. I'm being honest. I need to lose some weight too. It sucks. But if you're afraid because you're obese and there's a preventable comorbidity ratio here and diabetes related to your weight and stuff, go get healthy and stop acting like a victim and get back into the shape that you need to be to educate kids and to teach them. And for a few people that are the outliers, then just take it case by case. You know what I mean? Like these unions are sick, and it shows you that these people as a country, we're not working to help our nation, to build up children. It's all about me. They're self-involved. It shows the narcissism in our environment, and it's not even based in science. And when teachers who are supposed to be basing their decisions to teach kids by example how they live are not basing their example on actual institutional truth. That shows you how far our education system has fallen, because they don't care about truth. They haven't cared about truth for decades.
Right.
And they're indoctrinating kids. And that's what this is about. And they've shown their cards, and I say fire every damn one of them who doesn't want to go back to work if they don't have a valid reason.
I don't know, though, in a way. I feel like I'm of two minds about it, because I get what you're saying, but then the other part of me is like, a lot of these people are teaching such radical crap anyway to kids that in a way, I almost feel like if this is pushing more parents towards, if they can do it, like homeschooling and things like that, I think, well, isn't there a benefit to that?
Now, yeah, and I would agree with you to an extent.
Yeah, of course.
Indirectly, right? But directly, it's like, okay, well, the person who's working at Walmart, who's been open this entire time, the grocery store worker didn't get to pick, oh, well, I don't really want to go.
True, yeah.
I'm worried that my life is on the line. Great. You can get another job and someone else will come in to fill your spot. So it's almost like, okay, well, the teachers are valuing themselves below people at Walmart who work at Walmart, which I'm not devaluing, but I'm just saying, like, if teachers are basically saying we're not that important,
at least they have
we're not important enough. Yeah, we're not important enough to go to work, to show up at work. I'd say, great, thank you for showing us how you value yourself. That is how I will value you, and we will find people who actually care about the kids. Because then, if we could replace them, maybe we do get that teacher who actually cares about teaching the children and not about indoctrination.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess you're right in the sense that the people at Walmart probably have a greater risk of getting sick than the teacher, because the teachers are putting up with however many children, the same kids day in and day out. It's not like it's some new group of kids every single day with a new opportunity to become ill or whatever the case is. And I thought that the rates of infection in children were incredibly low.
They are.
That's always been my
transmission
and transmission, right? So like schools that are open, they've not had any
Just
sort
put 10 masks on them as well.
I think the major problem here is that I think teachers have a real complex where in a way they almost have this savior complex, because they are teaching the young people, the next generation. I mean, no shade to normal teachers out there who are like-minded and who think like.
I think if they're watching this program, they probably know.
And I would say most teachers probably aren't, but these are the ones in the unions that we're talking about.
No, but I think this is a thing the world over, because this used to really annoy me in Australia. It annoys me here, and I think that a lot of teachers have put themselves on a pedestal where they think that they are, in a lot of ways, doing some massive, service to the world and what have you. And the reality is that, like, there's definitely a necessity there. Kids obviously deserve an education. They deserve to be taught and what have you. But I don't think that what you're doing is any more or less risky than what anyone else is doing at this point. Like you said, the person in Walmart is actually at a much higher, greater risk, if we're going to look at it in these sort of terms, than the teacher. I don't know. Maybe it's because I have quite a low amount of respect for people these days, because I think if you're going to whine and moan and complain, quit.
Yeah. I mean, well, they know that they can hide behind their union, but it's like, but grocery store workers didn't get a say. I mean, I personally like being essential. If you guys are going to make yourselves non-essential, then you can just go be non-essential and not collect a paycheck. So
but then they're going to, then they end up being on welfare, and then they become leeches to the government. I mean,
they're already
to the taxpayer.
To the government.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I was going to say it's
real quick.
Yeah, but with these teachers, like basically what you're showing us is that you don't want to work and you're going to expense our kids' welfare, and this is our taxpayer money. Yeah. So get the hell out.
Right.
We want our kids to go ahead, and we want our money to be used correctly. And if you want to get in the way of our money being used to help our children, then you're out.
Yeah, that was not real quick at all. All right, back in a minute. Don't do it. All right, don't forget to go wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review The News and Why It Matters. Remember, give us 5 stars, because we don't deserve anything less than that. We've got a couple reviews here. You could see your review read live on air. We've got one, News I Trust from SD Lover 84. In a time where big tech is joining the swamp, the outlets of news I trust is growing smaller. The Blaze and their team of journalists and podcast hosts have really come through strong. They say we are refreshing, straightforward, and choose to report the actual news and break it down versus the story they are trying to spin. It makes me laugh out loud at least a few times with their dry humor, especially Sarah's. I appreciate it so much at a time where being conservative seems to mean a variety of hated things in our society. It's good to know there's still people dedicated to speaking truth rather than opinions and virtue signaling. We've got one more here. Sydney Watson, T Park 2231. Y'all are killing it. So glad to have you back, Sarah. Congrats on the baby. I've turned my sister and her family onto it. Keep it up. P.S. If Sydney Watson needs a guy, she can come find me.
Woo!
Wow. Well, we need to know, does she need to be vaccinated?
Yeah, that's the question. Because that's the make or break these days.